Ellettsville Town Council meeting is called to order. A little late, but at 6:38. It's called a meeting for Monday, September 25th. Start with the prayer. Jimmy?
Heavenly Father, we once again come before you and thank you so much for the many blessings we have for this little town. Be with us tonight as we make the decisions that make this town work. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Sandy, roll call.
William Ellis.
Here.
Trevor Sager.
Here.
Scott Oldham.
Here.
Pamela Samples. Dan Swafford.
All right, approval of minutes for the regular meeting, September 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
William Ellis.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Action to pay accounts payable, vouchers, and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
William Ellis.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, ordinances on first reading. Ordinance 2023-13 to amend section 52.134 of the Ellettsville Town Code to revise the stormwater system user fee base rate. So, Darla, are we able to do this on our first reading? Or are you still looking?
I'm still looking.
Okay, we are going to then go to, wow, let's go to the the flood update. Mike?
Flood report?
Flood report, yes.
Reading, sorry.
Sorry, that's okay.
Well, all I'll say is the work's going on both ends of Vine Street. I think if you go through town, you can tell that there's quite a bit of work going on, and they are breaking up the concrete for the big part of the project where they'll have the big dig, if you will, from basically Paul Street all the way down to 2nd Street. So everything's going good.
All right. Dan, have an Envision Ellettsville update?
Dan Rary, Envision Ellettsville. We have a task force meeting tomorrow from 3 to 4:30 here in Town Hall. And we're still discussing the reorganization and combining some of the task forces. We've combined 3 of them, the connectivity, the gathering, and the business. And anybody who wants to come, we welcome them to come here at 3 tomorrow. Should last an hour and a half. Thank you.
Thank you. And Darla, for the rest, if we're undecided, should we better, I think that,
I think the issue is probably going to be a fee is a problem if you're trying to have one person vote by Zoom. And appropriation and tax rates, you can't vote on by Zoom either. So
Can we do the salary ordinance amendment?
I think that's okay.
all right, and so what about bonds, posting bonds for streets?
I think that's fine.
Okay. So we're going to go on ordinance on first reading, ordinance 2023-14, requiring developers to post bond for existing streets. Who has this?
I have it.
Okay.
Thank you. Many times our streets and existing subdivisions are damaged by construction in new subdivision, and we've never had a mechanism to get reimbursed by developers for this, and it's becoming quite costly to the town. As you know, some of our funding has been lower for the funds the street department works with. So we're requesting a provision of a $100,000 bond that would cover any repairs and damages to our streets. And so Darla prepared the ordinance.
And that's something you need pretty quickly, don't you?
Yes, so I am requesting that, if possible, you could pass it tonight, please.
Okay. Trevor, what's your thoughts on it? Council discussion?
Yeah, I mean, if it sounds like it's pretty necessary, I'm good with moving it forward tonight.
Okay, since you're here or I'm here, did you want to do this, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. All right. I move that ordinance number 2023-14 requiring developers to post bond for existing streets be submitted to first reading. So I guess we have to take a vote on this. Since,
I'll give you a second on that.
okay.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
yes,
Motion carries.
All right. I move that ordinance number 2023-14 be adopted on the same day which is introduced.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
yes,
Motion carries.
I move that ordinance number 2023-14 be adopted.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
yes,
Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
So,
Darla, since this is an advertised meeting for the budget passing, do we need to maybe make a motion to table it, or will it just automatically carry over?
I think you should make a motion to table it until the next town council meeting, because if you do that, you don't have to re-advertise. If it's announced at this meeting, when it will be heard again.
even though it's tabled, though, I still can call for public comment, or can I? Because there's public here that showed up for it on the agenda.
I think to be on the safe side, if you want to call for public comment tonight, but I think I would also make an announcement that you're going to hear public comment at the next meeting and vote on it at the next meeting.
Absolutely,
That makes
okay.
sense. So
All
that
right.
if people are here, they want to comment, they don't have to come back.
Okay, so on the adoption of the 2024 budget, as you may have heard, that we will be actually voting on it next meeting, but if anybody in the public has any comments on it, I invite you to come up and present them now. Seeing none, we will take comments when we present it again next meeting. So this goes back to council action.
Yep, I'll make a motion to table the adoption of the 2024 budget until the next town council meeting.
Which is October 9th, 2023.
Okay.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
yes,
Motion carries.
Right, so we're going to go back to ordinance on first reading. So Darla, should we keep that as ordinance first reading, 2023-13 for next one? Or can we still read that as first reading?
Since you have a quorum, I think you can do a first reading on it. I just don't think it can be passed
Okay,
when when you've got one person who's voting by Zoom.
all right, so ordinance 2023-13 to amend section 52.134 of the Ellettsville Town Code to revise the stormwater system user fee base rate. Is that you, Jeff?
No.
Who is that, Mike?
Yeah, I'll take it. We're asking for a fee increase based on, I think it's always been $4 since its inception, which it has not always been $4? Okay. Okay, well, it's been $4 for the last quite a few years. Pardon?
Since 2017.
Thank you, 2017. And as you know, everything's increasing, and we have over $2 million worth of projects that we deem necessary to complete. Some of them more urgent than others, but nonetheless, in the next 5 years, we have quite a bit of work to do. We have insufficient funds to manage even a fraction of those, and so we need the increase so we can build up our monies in the stormwater and tackle some of these problems.
Okay. Any public comment on this?
Oh, I'm sorry, the increase is
thank you.
from $4 to $6 effective January 1st, 2024, and then there'll be another increase of $1, and it'll go from $6 to $7 on January 1st, 2025.
And to be clear, that's a flat rate for everybody that uses our water, right? It doesn't depend on the usage or,
It doesn't depend on like impervious surface area or
Right.
anything like that.
okay. All right. Then, all right, so then we've already done the budget, what's that? I'll ask again. Any public comment on this? Since we jumped around, I'm trying to see what I have or haven't done. So we have. Yep, I do see the bond reduction. Did we do any action with this? That's it, okay. All right. So next is ordinance 2023-12 to amend salary ordinance 2022-15, fixing of the salaries for budget year 2023. Seeing there's not a quorum in person, we can't vote on this tonight, but we can vote to table if that is the council's. Oh, we could? On the salary? Okay. So we can vote on this tonight. Okay. I'm getting confused. Sorry.
And this is just, we had a position of lineman that we hadn't fulfilled for a few years. So on the budget salary ordinance for 2023, that was left blank.
Okay.
So this is filling that in, and then we've created the position of master mechanic, and so we're adding that in to the salary ordinance.
But these are already factored into the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So do we have any public comment on this? Council action?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-12 to amend ordinance 2022-15, fixing of the salaries for budget year 2023.
I'll second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. I've already done the Envision Ellettsville update. I encourage everybody, echo what Dan said, be here tomorrow, 3 to 4:30. Flood report, we heard that. No old business, new business. Approval for reduction of the cash bond for Ruby Creek Phase 3, sidewalks, street trees, and curb ramps. I do hope we're not putting trees in the street. Is that correct? Okay, I will make sure.
In your packet is a memo outlining the request for bond reduction, Phil Tapp. The developers requesting a reduction in a cash bond for Ruby Creek Phase 3. The original cash bond was $37,575. He's requesting it be reduced to $12,450. I went out and did my part of the inspection, and everything is as it should be. And then Kip did the bituminous surface inspection and said it was fine. So I agree with the reduction request and requesting that request.
Any public comments on this? Okay, seeing none, move to council comments. Okay, council action.
Hang on just a
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's getting it reduced to this.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Okay. Would you add in there that we're going to reduce the bond by $25,125?
Okay.
Give me the figure again. 25. Yeah.
Come up to the speaker if you could. And state your name for the record.
Yeah, Jim Perry. I'm in Overbrook Estates, which is, I guess, Ruby Creek 1, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't understand the reason, the rationale for reducing the bond from 37.5, is it, to 12,000? Is there sort of a financial liability, a financial assessment of what our potential liability is, so that we know whether we're reducing it by the right amount?
As developments and subdivisions, construction goes along, the developers have a lot of money tied up, and so they request as they progress with their work to reduce it by certain amounts. There'll still be sidewalk, street trees, ADA curb ramp left on his bond to construct.
We still have sidewalks that are uncompleted in the Phase 1 and 2.
Well, this is specific.
That are not necessarily covered by the bond. My question, though, was what's our prospective liability, and to what extent are we going to be able to meet that with the bond that's being reset at a $25,000 reduction?
This bond is specific to Phase 3.
Yeah, but
Ruby Creek.
that doesn't answer the question. The question is, what is our financial liability?
So right now, the financial liability,
Or what is the developer's
The-
financial liability, and will it be met if the sidewalks don't get developed with the $12,000 that's there?
If the
I know how
sidewalk-
much it cost me to put in my sidewalk.
Right.
So I have some rough idea what it would cost, and I also know some of the other elements that haven't been completed in Phases 1 and 2.
I guess he's asking if they're not completed, is there enough left in the bond to complete those? Is that pretty much?
That ought to be part of our analysis, shouldn't
Right.
it?
Is there?
That's correct. We won't release them from the bond until the work is complete. In Overbrook, some of the previous developer did not put in the sidewalks and still holds a bond for those sidewalks that didn't go in. They
And the
Have it-
sidewalks are still not in.
they have agreements with the homeowners. So we're still holding a bond on what's not in from the previous developer. So we'll continue to carry that bond until Overbrook gets his sidewalks in with the developer.
And Phase 1 has been done for some time, but sidewalks are still unfulfilled.
Is there still a bond for Phase
We're still holding a bond, correct?
But why are the sidewalks not in?
So,
It's just,
And what's the community's responsibility for that?
Overbrook currently contends that the homeowner is responsible for the cost. So we continue to try to work towards that goal, albeit it's slow. And, but we do hold the bond. At some point, we will require everything to be done. But we're continuing on, Overbrook was changed to Ruby Creek.
Okay.
So
but if it's not done, is there enough in the bond to pay that we would be able to do that work?
yes.
Okay, and this,
Just so we're clear, the bond that this gentleman's talking about and this
for
bond
Phase
reduction
3.
are two different
Right,
things.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Two different developers.
But there's also a
Yes, two
dispute between
different
the homeowners and the developers, and that's what's delaying the completion of the sidewalks. And so the question is, what's the community's responsibility to make sure that the sidewalks are completed and that whatever dispute there might be between the developer and the homeowner is resolved in a timely way?
Yeah.
With my cane, I have trouble walking to the top of the hill and across to Phase 2 because the sidewalks aren't completed.
right. So Darla, what would the procedure for that be?
Well, I don't know, I know there's an issue between the developer and the homeowners with regard to the phase that this gentleman's talking about, and I'm not sure I'm not privy to the legal ins and outs of that, but I think what Denise is trying to explain is the town holds the bond, so if it gets to the point where the bond's about to expire and the sidewalks aren't done, the town can get that bond money and the town can finish it.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
They continue to renew that every year at our request. We don't have any problems with that developer. They have problems on their end with the homeowners.
But the homeowner
And we will not get in the
refuses-
middle of that dispute.
refuses to complete the sidewalk in part because the standards or the criteria for the width of the sidewalk were changed from the initial part of the Overbrook development to a later date. And I'm not quite sure what transpired there, but that's what's the delay. But it's not being the completion of sidewalks is not being facilitated or reviewed by the Ellettsville Town Council or the town staff.
Because if they're continually renewing the bond, I kind of see what this gentleman says. This will go on 5, 10 years, and they still don't have sidewalks. We don't want that to happen.
I've
Correct.
been there 8 years.
Okay. So how do we pull the trigger and get them?
Well, as you know, the subdivision's set for some time before it was bought. The rest of it was purchased by Phil Tapp for Ruby, and he changed the name to Ruby Creek. So it's not like we've been watching this for 8 years. So it was always discussed in our department that we would wait for the subdivision to come, both Ruby Creek and I can't remember if there's any lots left in Overbrook. But anyway, for Ruby Creek to be close to completion, and then we would probably talk to Darla about what legal action we could take to force them to finish the sidewalks. Either it be us calling the bond, or they on their own would finish it.
So if we, as a council, when that bond comes up for renewal, fail to renew it, will then that be put to complete the sidewalks?
But if it came up to being renewed, about time to be renewed, I start a conversation with the developers and say, where are you at? And either, yes, we've got blah, blah. And usually they contact me on their own if they're wanting a reduction because they want their money.
Right.
So if I find I'm not getting anywhere, then I'll contact Darla.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we, I mean, I'll just, this is for myself, I can't speak for the other council members, especially the ones that aren't here. If when it comes up for time for those other bonds, for where he lives, if we don't have a firm date, they're going to start, this just needs a resolution. And if they don't have a date, then I want us to be able to take care of it. They live in Ellettsville. So we hold the bond for it. And the developer, I mean, I don't want this tied up in it costing the people thousands of dollars in legal fees going back and forth with the developer. It's kind of, the bond I always thought was kind of our hedge that this doesn't happen. So I want to make sure that it doesn't happen and that they're kind of put on notice. They need to get this resolved by the time it comes up for renewal, because I will be a firm no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll echo that too, but just so I'm clear, because you're in phase one, it was phase one back in the
Phase
day.
1, I think so, yeah.
Phase 3 though, Denise, sidewalks are completely finished, right?
Not all of them. There's a portion that's not, and that's why he's leaving 580 feet
Okay.
on the bond.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't it be in the town's interest to set the bond higher to encourage the developer to complete the sidewalks and other public improvements?
Are we able to do that or just charge a certain fee?
Well, you already have it
Well-
at 37.5. What you're doing and talking about phase 3 of reducing
Well, yeah,
it.
because he's completed some of it though. So that's,
Correct.
Right,
we're just
yeah.
kind of reducing it for what has been complete.
So,
Ordinance says it's the cost of the improvements plus there's like, I don't know, percentage on top of that, right? And that's calculated by the town engineer.
right, it's
So-
25%. So the engineer gives me a list and they're 25%. And I measure, or if I have a question, I'll contact Kip or Mike. But that mostly comes with the subdivision bond. There's erosion control and subdivision bonds. They have to post, so.
So the remaining, what we're leaving in the bond for phase 3, what we're talking about today, would cover what's not being done if they don't do it.
Correct,
Okay.
We're going from 37.5 to 12.4.
correct.
So they've completed probably 2/3 of it, more than that maybe? Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was your name again, sir? Mr. Perry?
Jim Perry. That answers my original question, by the way.
All right.
Do we have enough money in the bond
Good.
to cover the costs?
And I appreciate you bringing this to my attention because I would have never known it, so thank you.
And sort of making this point, this is another issue, I think, if the Envision Ellettsville is going to be a meaningful process, we need to find ways of executing that which we put into ordinance. And sidewalks are part of that. If the quality of the community is going to be high, then you need to sort of finish those improvements. Otherwise, you have empty fields and
Right?
fallow lots.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so on this, did you already make the motion, Trev? Okay, so council action?
I'll make a motion for the approval for a reduction of the cash bond for Ruby Creek for a total of $25,125. That's for phase 3 sidewalks, streets, trees, and curbs and ramps.
Okay, I'll second. Oh, Scott, we'll give it to Scott.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Stager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Any public comment other than what we haven't already discussed? Okay, seeing none, supervisor comments.
I have nothing.
Jimmy?
Good, thank you, sir.
Jeff?
I just want to thank everybody that worked the festival, that I got to do the parade again for I don't know how many years in a row. And having all the guys that work for the town come out, fire department, police department, riding force for the whole festival. I hope I don't take their thunder away, but everybody, I mean,
It looked like one of the biggest ones I've seen, at least the parade.
it was so well attended, and there was half of them were from 5 to 10-year-old kids.
Yep.
And I think that's just wonderful. So great job by everybody that's involved.
Okay, all right.
The
Okay.
contractors are out starting that community crossing Granville Mill today.
I saw him on Second Street.
We're going to get all that done hopefully next week or two.
All right. Denise?
I wanted to let everybody know that Wednesday night is our last food truck Wednesday for the year, and thank everybody who worked so hard.
How's the
On
new
it.
location working out?
Pretty good.
Good. In
Pretty
case
good.
anybody know, if you were to the fall festival, it's kind of around the same general area, right?
Right.
So great job on moving that there.
And I'm sure everybody knows as they can see it, but our log cabin was successfully moved on September 13th. I think it took longer to get it level than it took to move it up here, but the company did a very good job with it, and we didn't have any problems at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen a log cabin move that fast since my cat knocked over my Lincoln logs, so I think that was really good. All right. Sandy? Yes.
I hate to interrupt, but I'm gonna have to go. Is there anything else you need me for?
No, we can, Sandy, you okay?
Yeah, we've done
All right.
everything except the, yeah.
All right, we're going to adjourn then. All right, thank you. Because we have to, we don't have a quorum.